Thank you so much for attending the video. And also thank you if you've watched a prior video to this one, which was on BitLocker on portable media, which was so much fun. I thought I'd get right into our next video, which is managing remote desktop, right? Just going to go through instructions and devices of how we're making sure that we're managing the remote desktop, how to access it, and also through, in particular, Windows PowerShell as far as doing this. So typically working with, let's actually see if this is working. It's more of a remote desktop is like a built-in remote management tool in Windows 10, and it allows us to connect to another computer's desktop using RDP. So when connected to another computer's desktop via RDP, we can actually further investigate problems reported by users and make the necessary remediation to fix any errors, right? So by default, typically, of course, administrators are allowed to RDP a Windows device and take over the system using the tool, which means that any user currently signed into the Windows will be disconnected from their session as well. But nonetheless, we're going to get into our first task, which is creating a remote desktop connection. I'm going to connect Win10, the current server, and 801 here using the remote desktop tool. So let's actually go ahead and open this up here. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So actually, let me show some options here. And here's the computer we want to connect to. Right. Perfect. All right, so we're good there so far. Let's actually take a look at local resources. Let's take a look here. And we can actually record from this computer. All right. All right, and let's see. Look at a few other things. Actually, yeah, we want to, let's see, we want to use, right? And now we can connect. Now that we've got those things configured, continue, of course. Right, and of course, security is everything. So making sure we are who we say we are. It lets me type. All right, there it is. So now we're officially remoting in and we're in. Awesome. All right, perfect. So we also want to notice that while the login prop now is complete, that the 801 is connected to Win10 remotely as indicated in our bar here at the top of the center screen. Now I'm just going to open up File Explorer, right? And just want to notice that different drives, as I click during the remote configuration settings before officially connecting, now that we see different drives are accessible, right? I'm actually going to close this out. And I'm actually going to terminate this connection here. If it lets me. All right, so while it's loading, I want to go into our next exercise for administering Windows with PowerShell remoting. So PowerShell just has the ability to remotely manage a Windows computer by enabling a feature called PowerShell remoting, and this feature could be useful when using a GUI based tool that's not viable due to low network bandwidth situations between locations, right? So first, what I'm going to do is actually disable public networks on Win10. So I'm going to get started with this here. Let's actually change these adapter settings. Right. Let's see. Just hit disable here and here. This is pretty slow. All right, so perfect. So both dialog box, when they closed it and the public network connection is now disabled. So it's going to take a look at the public network connection. Let's see. Review here. You know what? I'll just close this out and I'll just head to the next task. So we're going to use Windows PowerShell to manage our remote computers, right? So it's going to be used to disable by default on Windows OS, right? So I need to manually enable it to perform remoting. So there we go. We're going to take a look at our remote management. Let's see. Go down here. There we go. Perfect. And naturally, we're going to look at properties. I want to set this to automatic. And hit our start. And hit apply, of course. Then we're going to OK our way out of it. Let's close this out now that we've got that started. Now let's get to PowerShell. Okay, if it lets us. All right, so we finally got PowerShell up and running. So I'm just going to type the command now to enable the WinRM here. So let me type. There it is. Let's see. So it's already running. Do we want to enable it? You darn right we do. All right. Perfect. So it's been updated, right? So now I'm just going to configure the trusted host, right? So I'm just going to do this here. Okay. Perfect. Of course we do. All right. Perfect. So now I'm just going to swivel over to 801 here. Thought it was already signed in. Okay, perfect. Let's take a look at these settings here. Okay, let's change the settings here again. Okay, so that's now disabled. Let's actually search. I'm going to open up PowerShell here. All right. Perfect. Yes, of course. And we're pretty much going to do the same here. There we go. Yes, of course. We want that exception. Make the changes naturally. Yes. Parse the updates. Now I'm going to swivel back over to Win 10. All right. So now I'm going to establish a remote connection with 801 this way. Let's see. All right. Perfect. Yep. There we go. Now I'll see that I'm officially connected when I see that Win 801, the name of the server, it'll proceed to Windows PowerShell prompt as far as it being established. Sure if I see anything here. Looks like it is, but I guess this looks a little different than what I was anticipating, but it looks like it's been connected. So let's actually go here. Let's take a look at our C drive now. Okay. All right, so now that we're at the C drive, so I'm just going to actually create a new folder here. All right, so I've just created this folder here, sales. So now I'm going to swivel back over to Win 10, and I'm actually going to take a look at our command prompt again. All right, let's see. All right, perfect. So I've navigated to 801, which is awesome. So let's take a look at the listing, all our files here. And now we can see our sales files that I literally just created, and we can verify this by the date. This is not the correct time, but the date that it was created. We're verifying that not only from the preceding of the IP and the PowerShell prompt here, but also from the files that we're able to take a look at. And with that being said, let's go ahead and exit out of it. We're now out of the remote connection, and we're now out of this video. This actually brings us to the end. As for a very brief recap, we did some remote desktop um, things, and we also administered Windows with PowerShell remoting as well. Can't wait to we see everything that's going to take place in the next video, which is going to be managing role-based security. I'll see you there. Stay curious, stay secure.